Somebody said the other day, I think Steve Kerr is a top 5 coach of all time. And Twitter killed them for that because they said he has so much talent.
Okay, is Phil Jackson one of the great coaches of all time?
Yeah, they had Phil Jackson.
Is John Wooden one of the great coaches of all time?
Yeah. Yeah, Red Auerbach was number 1 on the list.
Yeah, but how many coaches win without talent? Win consistently without talent?
Are there any?
Well, I'm trying to understand that. Now, is Steve Kerr one of the great coaches of all time? I would say no, not yet.
His job is managing talent more so maybe than coaching talent. And that's what Phil Jackson, I don't know if he was an offensive genius, defensive genius, but to get all those guys to work together for years without infighting and problems, I think is more of your job than running a pick and roll play that they all know.
Well, it feels like you're an ombudsman, like you're just trying to troubleshoot here. Like what can be the problem here? Phil was handing out books. You know, he tried to make sure Dennis Rodman was engaged. He wanted Jordan to be nice to his teammates. You know, like those were sort of the things that he's doing. So you're managing personalities there. Is that coaching? It's under the umbrella. Because how many times have you seen a team implode because of personalities? Like I'm watching the Cleveland Browns this year, and I'm going to find out how good Freddie Kitchens is, or at least get an indication of how good he can be. It's like you're the manager of a band. I'm going to keep you together, but there's infighting, there's pettiness, there's jealousy, there's money, there's women, drugs. There's so much involved in this. And coaching is different than it once was. Because you're managing egos. You're managing guys who are making $40 to $50 million a year in basketball. And Phil Jackson he had to manage Shaq and Kobe. I got those personalities. They don't like each other. But I got to still somehow make them play together to realize the greater good is we're going to win some championships here. Yeah, McLovin.
I feel like you get more credit. Football coaches like Belichick seems to get credit. And there's no arguing that Belichick has had some inferior talent around Tom Brady. Look at some of the receiving corps, like undrafted guys all over the field.
But do I look at him and say, why can't you get good receivers for Brady? I mean, I can knock Belichick as much as I can compliment him. I can say, who are these guys you're putting out there for Brady to throw to?
He saves that money and puts it elsewhere, I guess. I don't know.
But then who is the genius? Then Brady is, because he makes that work. He gets a bunch of running backs.
Yeah,
who probably can't start for anybody else, but he gets a bunch of running backs. They did have 2 great tight ends. Hernandez and Gronk were great tight ends. And then you got wide receivers they're all interchangeable parts.
But he also, he'll get rid of his star players and they'll still be good. So I think Belichick gets more credit than anyone.
Belichick lost to the Giants when he had the team that was undefeated. When he had everything and he lost.
Right, but you know what I mean. Belichick's
I'm just saying that we give him credit, but you can also give him blame. Because the greatest team he ever had didn't win.
And that Giants team wasn't that great. They were, 10-6 or something that year. Or they weren't that. You're right. No,
yeah,
you're right.
I know. Lombardi... It's like he had great players, but they weren't considered great when he had them, but they became great because they won. And that's what happens sometimes. You look at somebody and you go, boy, he was a great coach. Look at all the players that, became Hall of Famers. But that doesn't mean they were all great when he got them. Yeah, McLovin.
How about Nick Saban? He's got the best talent, but he's also the best. Does he get the credit?
Saban doesn't get enough credit because he recruits these kids and, he rolls out a great team. But then he's lost some big games as well. There's no perfect formula here or blueprint where you go, well, that's a great coach. Steve Kerr is a great coach. Is he one of the greatest of all time? Are we talking NBA? Are we talking all-time coaches in every sport here? Yeah,
Popovich. Now, that's a guy who everybody considers a great coach. Gregg Popovich.
Yes. I don't think you would get anybody who would argue that. Now, you will get this. Yeah, but he had Duncan, and he had David, and they had Ginobili, and they had Parker. To which I'd say, okay, David was wonderful. He got hurt. They got the number 1 pick. They lucked into it with Duncan. We weren't quite sure of Ginobili. Everybody could have had him. Parker, everybody could have had him. And then he starts to throw in Bruce Bowen. Anybody could have had him. And then when you do that, that's when when I surround you with good players, or when I take the star player and I put the complementary figures around there, that's where I think true coaching comes into play. Now, he's lucky that he had the personalities of Duncan and David Robinson, who didn't want to leave. Duncan almost left to go to Orlando, but he had stars who stayed in San Antonio. Parker and Ginobili staying, Parker for almost his entire career, Ginobili for his career. To have that is a great luxury. But, if you're looking at greatest coaches of all time, Steve Kerr's not there yet just because he's won, 3 championships.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.